In this video, I'm going to talk about opening your opponent up from the top turtle so you can start working your gi grips and your collar grips. It's important that you get your collar grips because that's where a lot of your submissions are going to come from when you're working the top turtle, whether it's a clock choke when you're on the side or it's a loop choke when you're in front or so on and so forth. So we want to know how we can possibly get our grips when the person is nice and tight. So I'm here like this, right? I have my top turtle position, I have my good hip connection on him. Now I want to do some things to just kind of open up the inside a little bit so I can get my hands inside in any way, shape, or form. I'm not even focused on actually getting the collar yet. I want to focus on getting my hands inside so that way I can start controlling his hands or start controlling his lapels in some way or so on and so forth. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to grab the gi. So I like to grab the back of the neck here. You do this a lot when I try to get my hooks in, but I grab the back of the collar here. Now the reason why I do this is because this gives me the ability to pull him up a little bit, right? So even if he's down nice and tight, here I still want to keep this hip connection. I can really pull hard. So this many times is going to open this up. It's going to kind of shock the person and open this up. But let's say, for example, the person knows I'm going to do this and he still keeps his arms nice and tight here. Boom. It still helps me get my hand inside. I was able to turn this way. I was able to pull him up, so keep everything tight again. I was able to pull him up and get my hand inside here, just like this, and shoot it through. This is my main goal, is to shoot it through here, just like this, okay? Now, ideally, a perfect world, I want to be able to grab his collar. This is the perfect world. So I shoot through and I grab his collar. I don't even grab like a one-on-one type of position. I grab his collar. And the reason for this is because now I'm opening it up. By opening up, it's kind of leaving it free for me to possibly grab once I get this other hand inside. So now I'm here like this. He's still going to be fighting. So I'm fighting my hands. So he's going to be fighting my hands here. As he's fighting my hands, I want to start pulling him even more so I can get my other hand around. All right? Many times when they're fighting the hands, they start breaking their shell even more because I want to make sure that I don't get collar grips. Now he still has his other hand covering. I do not care. I'm going to pull up here and come around and get my thumb inside. This is my ultimate goal, for me to get my thumb inside here like this. Just kind of come up a little bit. His hand is still inside. I do not care. I don't care one bit. I'm going to keep feeding, getting my grip. I can still choke him and go for things even though his hand is inside here. This hand is pretty much not going to do anything for him. Basically what's doing is taking his hand out of the equation and stopping him from defending. You know, I can still come through and work my clock chokes and everything else. It just makes it harder for him to tap. You know, he can't use that hand to tap. So he thinks that this is going to help him, but it's really not going to help him one bit. So that's one big thing I like to do when I'm working the top turtle with the gi on. I'm trying to get my gi grips, especially for clock choke type grips. So we go back here. I'm here like this. I have a good hip connection. I grab so I can open up this space. Boom, I come inside. And then I come inside and ideally I'm grabbing the cloth. I'm grabbing his gi here like this because I want to just kind of feed it out. Now at this point, when I'm here like this, here he tries to bring everything tight again. It becomes hard, or he's trying to fight my hand. But let's say he's not even trying to fight my hand. He still brings everything tight, right? Here, I'm pulling up like this and I come around. And I use my other hand, so just bring his arm back. I use my other hand to, I'm basically just feeding his gi to my thumb. Like this, here. And then I get my grip, here. Nice and tight. If I want to make it even tighter, we're going to shake him a little bit. So let's say we're here, I want to make it even tighter, I shake. A lot of people don't do this, but the shaking really opens things up for me a little bit more. It really tightens things up and tightens the grip up. Now I have my grip, now I can start working. Let's say, for example, we just turn this way. Let's say he knows I'm trying to grab this collar, and he's grabbing his collars and he's blocking, right? I'm then going to grab a one-on-one on his arm, and I'm going to just start turning it in, here, like this. The reason why I'm grabbing a one-on-one is because I want to stop him from using both hands to defend, all right? So now he only has one hand to defend here, right? I'm still going to come underneath, and I'm going to basically still work to grab his collar, but he has his hand inside. So once we're here, and I have this hand back, now I come up and then I grab the grip here. So even though he's still blocking, we'll just kind of come up a little bit more here like this. Even though he's still blocking here, I'm still pulling down here. So try to block your lapel. I'm still pulling down here. And I'm using this to grind my hand inside. I'm using this to grind. I'll pull it open, I'll pull it down. I'll basically just move it around a lot. So that way I can get my thumb inside. But the big thing is I'm getting this hand inside underneath his armpit so I could work to open the space up a little bit so I can get this hand inside and then I can start working the collar grips from there. Because it's going to be very common for the person to start doing this stuff. Here, let's say Russ is on the side of me. Right? It's going to be super common. So like, oh, you already had the grip. So it's going to be super common for the person doing this and stop him. If he doesn't get a one-on-one on this side, or if he doesn't get control of my collar on this side here and pull it out, right, it's going to be hard for him to open things up. So let's say you don't do that here. And now he's just going to try to get grips with his right hand. It's going to be super hard. But if we go back and he starts using this left hand now to open things up and start working and so on and so forth, here, he might have a better opportunity to get it. Right? Also that time, he did something else, right? So we're going to steal something from Russ here. Right? So what Russ did here is he used this hand, right, to pull the arm out and step over the arm. Right? That was a very good idea because what this does is it really opens up the ability for me to get this hand inside now. So now I basically get like a crucifix type position. So we're here like this, he grabbed the wrist, he pulled out and stepped over the arm, and now we get the grip so that way we can get our choking grip as well. I mean, also with that, we can use, if we want to start working our crucifix to do this, if we have our knee inside, we can use our knee to slide out, get our crucifix, and then we get our choking grip as well. Crucifix is very good for opening up chokes from the side turtle position. Let's say we have the front position here. If we have the front position, ideally, you know, the quicker you get the grip, the better. But if he's still going to be working the block and do all these different things, it's going to be hard for me to come inside and come underneath, okay? So what I want to do is I want to find this hole. There's like a little hole right here. There's like a little hole right here. It's very hard for him to close this gap. I want to make my fingers super pointy. I'm coming here, making my fingers super pointy. I stick them in, and then I start grinding inside. At this point now, I'll start lifting up, and then using my other hand to feed the gi. Okay? You have to be aggressive with these things. You have to be really aggressive and like really grimy with them. It's kind of hard to see. Turn this way. So I took my hand and I basically poked it through this hole like this. I'm gonna poke it through the hole here. And then from here, I like to also cup the chin. So I'll cup the chin here like this. I'll cup the chin and I'll start picking up and I use my other hand to pull his lapel out. So even though he's blocking, it's still hard for him to stop me from pulling his lapel out. When I cup his chin, it gives me the ability to feed my hand through, and now I get the loop choke position. So I'll basically do like this. I cup, I pull, and then I get my grip. The big key here, it's a fight. This is a fight. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but what we have to do is we have to like really grind our hands inside. We have to be really grimy, and we have to work on opening up their lapels with our hands. We have to work on controlling the arms that are going to block the grips. And as we're doing that, we have to be driving the choking hand inside so we can get our grips. The best thing for you to do is for you to be getting the grips immediately. I mean, if there's a situation where he ends up, being in like a turtle position where I'm on top, I'm immediately getting the grip right away. Like it's not just going to be a sprawl. It's going to be a sprawl with a grip feed. All right. If I spin to the side, it's going to be here full, and I'm already coming inside. So then that way I can get the grips. Like I'm already trying to feed the grips. It's a timing thing as well. You know, he might understand what I'm going to do. His timing might be better than me, and I can't get the grips right away. He might not understand what I'm doing, and he might not be quicker than me, and I can get the grips right away. So that's a timing thing as well. If for some reason you can't get the grips right away, then we have to do all these different things also. So play around with this, just some ideas to work with. If you have any more questions or comments, let me know. Just understand that this is a fight. You know, the person's here. Like they're literally just locking down. You know, they're trying to protect themselves. So we have to do things to control our opponent, open things up and get our grips without losing our position. And that's where keeping the hip connection is, because he might try to see an opening to escape. You don't have your hip connection, then they escape, right? Or you do have the hip connection and they don't escape. You might end up getting in side control or something along those lines. And that's just the reality of jiu-jitsu, right? You know, it's very dynamic. Things can change pretty quickly. So focus on these things. If you have any questions or comments, post below. Peace.